This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Welcome to this gathering that honors the tradition of the true weekend racer, which gave birth to this car, the SCCA Spec Racer and Spec Racer Ford. Its ongoing success is truly what this is about today, and with that, we ask you to grab your favorite beverage and probably your favorite snack. Put that combination together and get ready to watch the 23rd SRF vRunoffs Big Grid here on the Global Sim Racing Channel at the iRacing Esports Network. Ossian Puhaka is sharing the microphone with me today. I'm Sean Ambrose. We've got our good friend Ryan Walker with us standing by, and we're getting ready to bring you all the simulated SRF action from the Glen. I'm Jed Yaman back there twisting and tweaking the dials for us, armed with cameras locked, loaded, and prepared by the one and only Douglas Beard, located just off Seneca Lake here in central New York. Watkins Glen International is not only host to great racing, but great history as well. The International Motor Racing Research Center, located at the track, is focused on preserving this history of motorsports, and I'm sure they'd approve of what we've got on tap here today. Why don't we take a look at this track and this amazing venue now through the lens of our GSRC track preview.
Welcome to Watkins Glen International. Situated in upstate New York, just south of the Finger Lakes, this track has seen it all. Few road circuits can boast hosting Formula One, IndyCar, NASCAR, and IMSA during its history. Though it did have a brief fallow period in the early 80s, thanks to the investment of local companies, it's grown into one of the premier road tracks in the U.S. With 4 layouts to choose from that range between 2.5 and 3.5 miles in length, lap times can vary greatly. But it also means it's suitable for lots of different levels of racing, from amateur to pro. The one thing that stays consistent no matter which car and which layout you're using is that Watkins Glen means speed. Many of the straights are very long, and the majority of the corners are fast sweepers. Some of them include a surprising amount of banking as well. Combine that with the proximity of the barriers, and this historic circuit retains a very old-school feel. Drivers in lesser-powered cars can expect drafting battles, while higher-powered machinery will test the skill and bravery of their pilots. Some of the turns are visually iconic, such as the carousel and the S's. Others, like the inner loop, the chute, and turn 9, greatly challenge even the expertly skilled. And of course, we haven't even mentioned the drastic amount of elevation change drivers experience. Between its rich history and popularity among drivers, this track stays busy and seems likely to be that way for a long, long time.
They have been racing in Watkins Glen, New York since the world was in black and white. First on the streets, then a permanent racing facility was built in 1956. And they have raced all sorts of cars here, from Formula One all the way to touring cars, from racing GT cars, from prototypes. All sorts of stories have unfolded here. And today we are here with the Spec Racer Ford, and 11 turns over 5 kilometers, 3.5 miles, will provide suitable challenge for these cars and for these drivers to navigate through. It's a fast track, it's a demanding track, it's one of the best known tracks on the entire service. And Sean, will you tell us what the drivers will face out here today in terms of the event itself?
Well, what they are going to face is a 40-minute race here now. They're in qualifying right now, 20-minute open qualifying session, and, well, That's the same as the setup on the car. Wide open, drivers working hard to get these ready to race here at Watkins Glen. Listen, this track has been on the service for a long time. These drivers, most of them have been on the service for a long time. They've had a setup figured out for this track for weeks, but again, it's going to be a 40-minute race to the finish. You're going to get one spare car here today, and if you need it and you have to come into the pits, well, that's probably going to take you out of contention for a win, but there could be a lot of attrition here today as we'll get started from a standing position, I believe, on this one. Well, that backs them all the way up into the last couple turns of the track. When you've got a 55-plus car grid like we've got here today, Ossian, and real quickly, we want to remind everybody that we are on the iRacing Esports Network. If you've stumbled across us, well, congratulations. If you haven't subbed to IESN yet, do it now. But the Weekend Warriors and the vRunoffs are being streamed into your home via the iRacing Esports Network. You can give them a subscription. Give the Global Sim Racing channel a sub, because right now, anybody who subscribes to GSRC is going to be eligible for drawing we're having on December 21st. Give away a little bit of free merch from our new store that we've got here at Global Sim Racing channel. And one of the things we're seeing here today for the first time, some of you may be seeing on a broadcast, is, well, the new paint effects that have taken place here on iRacing since the new build earlier in the week. And yeah, we've got some shiny SRFs out here on track. Drivers going for new look like Antonio Reyes.
Yeah, it looks like they invested heavily on the hair product out here today. Like, it's honestly shiny. I'm not too sure all these cars are gonna be shiny by the time this race is over, but right now it certainly looks good. We have a lot of shiny effects, a lot of matte effects as well. And I think, if this was earlier, we would have had a competition of who has the nicest paint scheme. You can still nominate those all you want in the comments or somewhere to look at those cars and think who has done the nicest job on upgrading their car. It's great thing to have these improvements on iRacing, and it's a great thing visually as well to allow the drivers to express themselves a little bit more freely, Sean.
Yeah, well, you brought up product, and I'm immediately thinking someone's got to do an Aquanet car for me. So a shiny Aquanet car would be nice. And if you're a child of the 80s and lived through that era, then you might know what I'm talking about. So, folks, qualifying underway. Just over 5 minutes left now. It is David Garrido Sanchez currently on the pole with a 210 flat here at the Glen, and a 209.8. That was the 210 flat was the last lap, but David with a fast one, no stranger to the Spec Racer 4.
Not at all. Fraser Williamson in second place. Fraser, who is doing all sorts of racing. He has been seen from tin tops to open wheelers, from GD series to HPDs to Spec Racer Fords. This Scotsman is an absolute natural talent at driving. He may not be at the victory lane in each and every race, but he surely is bringing it. He is right now sitting on P number 2 in the qualifying with Ian Haycox in P number 3. Our everyone's favorite forum member, Jason Perry, in 4th place, and Kurt Nunez rounding out your top 5. So, I believe, Sean, next, we also have the couple of words about the upcoming events and the importance of this part of the race as well. And you're not going to be alone talking about that, are you? Because this commentator booth, I tell you what, it just got a whole lot more cramped.
It did. Yeah, I wanted to bring Ryan Walker in real quick. Ryan, how just important is it where you're qualifying here today at the Glen?
I think qualifying is going to be very important with Watkins Glen being such a long track. I think the early stages of the race, I think the most important thing could be track position. I think with it being a 40-minute race, people might be kind of not battling away, but kind of just trying to gain as many positions as possible to try and have the best position on track before the pit stops. And also, I think the pit stops could be an important factor around here. If maybe some drivers will try and save fuel in the early stages of the race and try and stretch out the fuel, maybe one lap more as much as possible. So yeah, it could be a thing to keep an eye on, Sean.
All right, and now qualifying, getting down into the closing minutes. We see a very competitive field, not spread out by a lot of time. I was saying not much different to the Formula 3 race we just watched a little while ago, the race for Vamala. You look at the top, and it really is just mere hundredths of a second scattered all over the top 15, 16 here.
Yeah, the qualifying is really close so far, as we see Jerry McArway actually taking the provisional pole position last time by. He was in a very good draft with a 209.6. Not all that difficult, all that different rider. It is very difficult to get a good time. It is not too different in terms of how close the midfield is. So it's very, very, very similar in that sense. And you see it a lot in racing, where the top 3, top 4 might be a little bit more spread out in terms of the talent gap, and then you see the midfield. And usually by the chance of percentages alone, you will see drivers from positions 5 to 20 being really close, because that's where a lot of drivers end up in terms of their practice, in terms of their talent. So it's going to be very close, and usually those positions are just a melee.
Well,
Sean, those positions are a real fight.
Yes, they are. And Nils Sadowski in this one here right now, P4, coming around looking for a little better here. Gets out of the last turn. Let's see what he's got. This looks like a flyer. It'll be at the line. Nils just a little bit slower on that one, actually. Got all excited for nothing. This could be, I'll tell you what, this could be his last lap, though. Only just under 2 minutes left. Might have been the last car to get by with a chance at it. It's going to be very, very close for Nils to get another one in here. McAreevy has pulled off. So is Sanchez. Fraser Williamson's still on track.
And the problem for Nils right now is that, well, he's got nobody for drafting partners. Ian Wilson making it out of the way with the damaged spec racer, but other than that, he's got no draft partners. He's really gonna need a buddy to pull him up, to get him up to those top speeds. So he is driving alone, and while yes, you can be very well focused on those corners, you can focus on those corners really well, but he will not get any help down the straight line. Same case for Aaron Vogele. Down in P number 34. Why did I bring him up? Because I always associate him with Nils, and Nils has actually lost it just before the boot section of the track, so he got a little bit too sideways, wasn't able to catch it, and as a result of that, that is the last chance gone for Nils Sendkowski to make it up to P number 3 and beyond in this qualifying. I'm sure he will be a real presence in the race, but right now he is not able to improve his starting position. Sean.
All right, Ryan, just real quickly, just a few seconds left to qualifying. Stevie Ray apparently has implemented a new penalty rule at iRacing yet.
Yeah, I was speaking to Stevie Ray last night, and it surprised me, but he said that I think he's planning to test out the penalty feature that's been put in the new iRacing update. So yeah, if any drivers go over a certain amount of off tracks, as far as I'm led to believe, that they'll get a drive-through penalty. So keep an eye on that during the race.
Right. All right, we will. Max Grau on board with him right now. He's got a draft coming to the line. This is going to be a flyer for him. Grau shuts it down at the line, and no, not any quicker for him. Nils Sendkowski does make it across.
Yeah, he does. Still a couple of more drivers coming up. Hugh Haycox, Paul Gudden, and Wayne Palmer as well. And behind them, we also got Fraser Williamson and Austin Winner actually really battling it out on their qualifying laps. And I don't think that's going to count for either of those drivers, because car contact, as you know, it disqualifies a qualifying lap.
Yeah, it could be an issue there for Williamson. Williamson got a fast one going. You see, you see Winner. on board with him here. They come across the line. Let's see what winner gets.
It all.
Yeah. It was a fast lap. It looks like it did count. I saw Sadro just moved up the board, actually came across, got up to P16.
Ooh, that's very good.
Yeah, he's going to appreciate that that late jump there. There's Bradshaw coming around for his last one now. Bradshaw could have probably used a little draft, a little help here. It's going to be quick. It's going to be quicker. It is. Still leaves him in P30 here, I think, to start the race for Bradshaw. Bernardo, Francisco Bernardo.
Yeah, and we also have behind him Steve Ray and James Tibor very close to each other in P22 and P19 coming to the last corner.
So a lot of drivers taking it for all it's worth here. Stevie Ray looking for a fast one. It is a fast one. He's going to pick up his time. Look at that, almost over 0.4 of a second.
Yeah, that's a very good lap for him. So P number 11 for Steve Ray, right at the dying seconds of this qualifying session. That's a really good improvement. You rather want to start there than P number 20.
I think we're good. Let's head to the grid, get this in here. We've got a big field, as always, in the vRunoffs SRF big grid here. Jerry McAreevy got the pole. David Garrido Sanchez gets second there. Fraser Williamson's going to start on row 2 with Nils Sadowski. Ian Haycock's starting 5th today. Jason Perry will start 6th in the number 97 SRF. Row 4, Kurt Nunez and Antonio Reyes will start 8th. Row 5, Michael Dobek and Austin Winner starting 10th.
Steve Ray, according to his number, is also position number 11. Samuel Dick in 12th place. Steven Nelson 13th with Zachary LeVay in 14th. Nicolas Souza, P number 15. Hugh Haycox, P number 16. Daniel Sadrow, P 17. Donald Fitter, 18th. Edward Doherty, 19th. And James Tibor rounding out your top 20.
All right, and then we're going to take it down to P21. It's going to be Greg Stefani, starting next to Tom Gradwell. Row 12, Nico Schuch and James King. Row 13, Francisco Bernardo and Jens Nordstrom will start 26. And the number 69, row 14, Brett Holton. Bob Kern starting in the number 6, 28th today. Row 15th, Chris Berkami and Adam Bradshaw rounding out your top 30.
And it's Dominique Bourreau in 31st, Wayne Palmer next to him, Max Grau, Jeff Jacobson, Clark Williams doing a very busy evening for him, Aaron Vogelep 36th, then Arne Stops, Jeff Cantor, Richard Gordakovsky, and Lance Snyder in 40th place.
All right, I'm going to slow it down just a little bit because, well, we do get a full pace lap around here, but Ian Wilson is going to start 41st today at row 21. Nick Carty is here. He'll start back there in 42nd. You know what? Put a little money on Nick Carty. I'm just saying. That's I like that spot. Row 22 is going to be Brian Short. Darren Kane will start 44th. 23rd, Paul Godden in 45th. Jim McGill, 46th. And then number 342, SRF. Ramon Regalado will start 47th today. Mark Gehan, 48th. Row 25, Julio Forcalin and Mike Conger. And I'll take the rest here real quick. Jeff Horniak in 51st. Miroslav Jurasek, 52nd. Row 27. Flavio Satorino did not take qualifying time. Neither did Paul Barpusa. And John Schaefer will end the 55-car Big Grid SRF vRunoffs here at Watkins Glen International, right here in glorious New York, a beautiful state that, well, I just actually happen to be from. Not from the Watkins Glen area, but from a little place called Riverhead on Long Island, and couldn't be much further away from Watkins Glen than there. But I'm glad we're all here. Ryan, Austin, we've got a big one on tap. Austin, any thoughts before we get ready to drop the green on this one?
Well, you have to plan accordingly. I know when you start the race, you start from P number 5 or P number 15 or 25, you're gonna be in a battle pack either or. You're gonna want to hold on to what you have and add, stack up on top of it. So you wanna gain, gain, gain. It's all take and no give usually at the start of the race. So you wanna gain up, get to the front quickly. A lot of drivers think they belong right up to the front. In fact, if you're a racing driver, you're there for the win. That's it. But the thing is, you gotta remember, it's a 40-minute race. It's a long race, and we see very often in these big grid events, we saw it in Formula 3 just prior to this one, how much you can make up positions, you make up time just by keeping your nose clean. There are gonna be a lot of mangled up spec racers. We don't hope for it, but we just know it's gonna happen at some point. So you wanna keep it clean. So and it's very important at this point to keep it clean and to pick your battles as well. If you see someone coming up through the field, like your boy Nick Cardy, for example, coming up through the field, then it's better to make him some way, try to tack up right behind him, and try to make up some positions that way. Let someone else do the hard work for you. Why would you have to do the overtake when you can let someone else do the overtake for you and just follow him through?
Well, Nick, Ryan, I'm gonna ask you real quick. Are you a big fan of that lap by our pole sitter?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a good lap from Jerry. I mean, he might have had some draft, but I was watching it back, and yeah, it was a really tidy lap to take the pole position. And I think if Jerry can keep out of trouble, he could be one of the contenders to win this race. But there's also other contenders to look out for, like Fraser Williamson, like Ossian mentioned, very quick in anything that he jumps into. But also, yeah, people like Jason Perry can also spring a surprise as well. So yeah, I'll be intrigued to see who wins this race.
All right, we got 55 SRFs getting ready to roll off here. They make their way around the last few turns here at the Glen, heading down to the boot and through the heel.
It's gonna be very close, very close. You know, you got up there, right up from the front row, you got Cherry, you got David, you got a whole bunch of hungry guys looking to make up positions there. You got teammates, you got enemies, you got friends. And at this point, you're just gonna rehearse your strategy, try to make sure to pick up the proper timing on the start. That's so important, and then just survive. That's the most important thing.
Well, Jerry McAreevy is going to get the first one with an attempt to survive. He'll be on the inside, heading down to the 90. At least we think that'll be his approach. We'll see what Sanchez, Williamson, Sentowski, Haycox, Perry all have him in store for him. But the Porsche pace car gets ready to pull off. The safety car is off. We're mean green and underway here in New York. Jerry McAreevy on the hammer. They're 3 wide right behind him. Williamson, Sanchez, and Sentowski down into the 90. All at the same time. Somebody's got to give. They're stacked up 4 wide behind him. Big trouble for somebody already. I think that was Haycox or Reyes. Reyes dropping through the field.
Yeah, Haycox spun in turn number 1 as well, I think. He just went for round issues in turn number 1 for several drivers, but that's to be expected. Sean, they are battling it out to the back straight for the first time. Wow.
They are for the first position. And Sanchez hold on to it now by just a thread as they all come down here to the inner loop and spread it out single file. Smart thing to do. Sentowski gets off the loud pedal a little bit. Not much. He's got him in front of him.
Yeah, right now it's very important for these drivers to make it to the front really quickly and make it to the front draft. So you make it to that leading
wide.
draft pack.
Sentowski wide. Sorry there. Sentowski really wide. It's going to cost him the spot. Or I'm sorry, that was Williamson. No, that was Williamson that was wide. My bad.
Sentowski also went wide. So Sentowski actually went wide and Williamson went past him. So right now Williamson in P number 2 and Sentowski in P number 3 being very much bothered by Cherry.
Yeah, and now they've dropped Linus third for basically the top 10 here up front. It took them a little less than a lap to do it.
Yeah, it's always like that. And as I said, it's very important right now to get to the draft of the leader, to not lose sight of David Sanchez right now and get into his draft, take the battle to him, and make sure if you're around P number 6, P number 7, to not let anyone take the fight away from you, the lead fight away from you, as Fraser Williamson goes really wide in the penultimate corner, and that allows Bill Sankowski and Cherry and Jason Perry get right up into the rear of him.
Fraser did a really, really good job of catching that.
He did okay.
Yeah, we got to go. No!
Jason just punted. Cherry away in turn number 1. Cherry able to get around, did a clean 360, but Jason braking a little bit too late. Jason Perry that is, and maybe Cherry braking a little bit earlier than he expected, and Jason ending up punting his fellow driver out of the track.
And McAreevy losing a lot of spots there. Going to come back out, and now what is looking about 16th. And that's Burkami right behind him. Bringing a train, Bradshaw, Gradwell, and Kern. And boy, just a sitting duck.
Yeah,
finally able to slip back in the line there, Jerry is.
Yeah, he maybe has to battle through. I think we should actually go to Ryan for this one. Ryan, do you think Cherry will have to battle through this damage, or do you think he should pit early on and take the damage of an extra pit stop?
I think at the moment, if I was Jerry, I would stay out for maybe a few more laps, just try and gain some positions back. But if you get stuck in traffic for a few more laps, I would say it's maybe worth diving into the pits early and maybe just taking a fast repair, get some fuel, and then just try and get some clear air and put some hot laps down.
Well, up front, it is turned into a long battle here as Sanchez holding off Williamson here for the moment. Of course, with McAreevy dropping all the way back, our pole sitter, this is giving everybody a spot here up front. And nobody out of this thing here. Again, the top 10 covered up right now, literally top 11 before you really see any break there, back to 12th. Williamson with a run here. Probably okay to follow, save a little bit of fuel, but I'll tell you what, Sanchez doesn't think so. He's doing a really good job of covering the track off down into the 90.
Yeah, he's doing a really good job moving around, not moving after Fraser, instead moving before Fraser to not turn it into a block. And 10 Niels trying to follow through behind them. Let's see if they're gonna make some moves, heading onto the back straight. Fraser looking, but I think he's catching him up a little bit too quickly on the SS there, Sean. David is already caught up before the SS, and as a result of that, Fraser is not gonna really have to run on him, instead having to back down. And that is advantage Nils Sankowski, advantage Jason Perry. And all of them actually backing down before the bust. So it looks to be a little bit less of a fight and a little bit more of a, okay, we're gonna have a big pack of cars behind us right now. Let's try to run away from some of those cars and bring it to a, well, let's say make the company and the fight for the lead a little bit smaller than 15, 16 cars.
Elson, the big player right now at the back of that group. Elson's picked up 8 spots really early here in the race. And the only thing that separates him now from being up that battle is Jason Perry. But he's cleared Nunez and Stevie Ray. Stevie Ray up quite a few spots himself, actually, having a good run. Oh no, I think we've had some trouble towards the back. I think Wayne Palmer's just had a problem, or was it Austin Winter, or both? I think we got the replay on this. We do. Go into it now. Look, it was Wayne Palmer. That's Winter losing it right there. And then we see Wayne Palmer late, having issues in the same spot there. Turn 5 will get you every time.
Yeah, and also Edward Doherty from P number 12 as well had a just problem on, I believe it is the toe of the boot, where he just slipped a little bit on the exit in P number 12 and run nose first right into that wall. So that is one of the Scotsmen sadly out of the leading contention.
Well, you mentioned Doherty, and that damage on his SRF pretty heavy, but that battle up front continues. Sanchez is still ahead of Fraser Williamson. Still nose to tail as they get ready to head up through the S's once again.
Oh, lap traffic as well. Jeff Conter, P number 53, is a lap down ahead of them, and I think they will clear him just before they come to the back straight. And oh, here comes Niels Sandkowski actually making fast racer and trying to use the draft of the lapped car as well, but having to back down a little bit as the two come back ahead of him. So a little bit of movement there, but I believe Ryan, you have a theory on the situation of Fraser Williamson and why he is not too eager to take that lead.
Yeah, I'm just watching Fraser's onboard and just watching him in general. He doesn't seem too eager to make a move, and is maybe possibly fuel.
It looks like Samuel Dix had a problem out there. The Pennsylvania driver gets around in front of a lot of traffic. Here he is coming through the inner loop and a little bit too high up on the curve there initially, and maybe had a little help there. Car was unstable coming through to begin with, and that's all it took. Here we go, on board with Nicholas Souza. Yeah, and Sam was really trying to gather the car up and just keep it from spinning around, and unfortunately Souza's the one there to get to him first and give him a little help finishing it off. Samuel going to stay in the race, though.
Yeah, and that was very unfortunate. Sousa, of course, maybe got a little bit tired of looking at the guy bouncing around in front of him. I think he was just trying to keep his nose clean, you know, trying to make it past on the outside, but just a little bit of a tap. And when your car is unsettled, that's all it takes to turn that tap into a spin and send that car into the wall. Meanwhile, the leading battle is still actually quite a snake. All the way up to P number 7 are the leaders right now. And David still defending. I don't think he is realizing that Fraser is just being very docile and trying to save fuel behind him.
Now I'm trying to confirm something on the fuel, but yeah, no, it is 35%. So they are going to need one stop to get this race done, and I don't know. I'm thinking maybe with about 20 to go, we'll start to see drivers. 20 minutes to go. We'll see drivers start to duck in and probably get that done. But Fraser definitely has better pace than this. This is all about fuel saving up front now for the top 3. And, of course, Jason Perry just on the end of that. Stephen Elson continues to push, though. And Perry's got to be concerned about that. I think Stevie Ray sitting back there in P6 is just there to clean up should things get out of shape in front of him. But his march up through the field has been a good one to watch as well, as it looks like Clark Williams has had trouble in the back of the field. So drivers still having trouble figuring this all out. Clark bangs it up pretty good.
Yeah, heading into turn number 1 here, Clark Williams in that big battle back, and that's usually where the trouble brews, Sean.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't know that Clark really had a whole lot of help here. I think the car just gets away from him a little. Tires starting to heat up just a bit, and boy, I'll tell you what, a lot of guys got lucky there, not making contact with him.
It's part luck, 50% luck and 50% skill in that you have to, you know, when somebody spins around, you have to trust him to hold on to the brakes. You have to be able to predict his direction and predict the traffic around you. It takes a little bit of luck. Sometimes you cannot avoid it, but sometimes with some skill, with some patience, and most importantly, not losing your head, you can avoid an incident, and as such, make it through with your nose clean and just wave to the driver who has spun out.
And our leaders cycling around once again. It is still David Garrido Sanchez in the lead, Fraser Williamson and Nils Santowski. Jason Perry back there in 4th. Looked like for a second that Elson was going to make a dive to the inside. He thinks better of it. Time to still keep things pretty orderly here. James Tiber is going to come in out of 17th as the field goes by him. He obviously needs some attention on that Spec Racer Ford. Again, they got one free car at their disposal.
Yeah, and seeing a lot more movement in the front now. Jason Perry getting alongside Nils Sandkowski right now. He got past Elson last time by. Oh, Jason Petty braking really late, actually
Uh-huh.
passing Fraser Williamson as well. So he knows they are fuel saving, and Jason right now, he wants that track position, Sean. And Jason, of course, he is a very experienced driver and a very hard-nosed driver as well. He has plenty of experience from these races, and he knows how to play the strategy game. And sometimes you have to put the hammer down, and he wants to be in a position where he doesn't lose too much, even if he makes a slight mistake. So getting past Steven Nelson last time by, now getting past 2 drivers as well.
Yeah, and if you're starting to think about pitting soon, up front of that line is where you'd rather be. I'd rather be the guy that has nobody in front of me coming into that pit lane, and especially when the quarters are really close like this. But Sanchez has set the pace for the field here since we lost McAreevy a little while ago. Sanchez has done a really, really good job up front here. Perry and Williamson. Sentowski drops another spot there to Kurt Nunez, the California driver that we haven't even talked about. Kurt Nunez is he started in the top 10. He's picked up a couple spots now, but he stayed out of trouble. Been really, really quiet and has just really hung in here with this group really, really well.
He has indeed, and being able to hold on to those leaders is such an important thing at this stage of the race. Even if the leaders are a little bit jostling, a little bit fuel saving going on, and Steven Elson, as Ryan actually hinted out earlier on, Ryan, you had some inside info on this, possibly, and indeed, it is Steven Elson who has just beaten.
Yeah, absolutely. I just spotted Elson and Steve Ray coming into the pits, so I think they're maybe trying to do an undercut and by pitting early and just try and get some clear air. So, yeah, I'm just looking to see what the pit stop will be. Normally, pit stops in the Weekend Warriors are around about the 9-second mark, so I'm just checking out to see how long it is. And Elson was about 11.7 seconds, and Stephen Ray was 12.3 seconds.
Yeah, and they're going to come out together, Ryan, which this is good for Stevie Ray. He's got a partner, a dance partner now, and they're going to come out right at the end of this line. Really, really, really great pit exit. Really, that worked out to be very, very opportune. They're back in the draft here, and that is really, really going to help their cause after a nice, quick, tidy pit stops there.
Yeah, and something else that is going to help those guys out, I just watched the leaders, David Sanchez, Jason Perry, Fraser Williamson, going very archy-barchy on that back straight. So as they lost those couple of guys, they are trying to settle their own differences. They went in a pack of 3 into the bus stop, and now Jason Perry losing a little bit of time, Fraser Williamson trying to challenge him. And this is all playing into the hands of those guys who are trying to make the undercut.
Here's the replay for Ed Doherty. Ed's just had a race full of bad luck, unfortunately. It's going to be, well, he's going to need some help from the pits, but that car obviously crabbing a little bit as it came back to the track. It's back up front, though, for Sanchez, Williamson, and Jay Perry.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised at all by Perry's performance here, though. You alluded to it a few minutes ago, Austin. And noted hot shoe here in the Spec Racer Ford.
He is noted hot shoe on the Spec Racer Ford, and he is someone who is a very tough opponent as well. So for him right now to be in that P number 3, doing exactly what he wants. Now he does have just a tiny bit of damage on the back of that car. He got a in an earlier incident, he got a car up his rear, so that is a very, very something he's gonna have to keep an eye on, and something that normally would push someone towards an earlier pit stop. Remember, you get a free fix right there on pit stop. But Jason Perry right now, considering that his pace right now, considering his position, he doesn't want to pit quite yet. He wants to be right with those guys, and he wants to run late by the looks of things. Same with Fraser Williams and David Sanchez holding on to that lead. Why not? I think David, unless he does something really, really aggressive, he is gonna hold on to that lead until the pit stops come around. And that for him is really the ideal position, even if he can't save as much fuel. I mean, if you're in the lead of the race, then you don't have to really worry about anything else than just holding on. Sounds easy.
Yeah, it sounds easy, right? And you know what? Now, we haven't talked about Jerry McAreevy in a while. Since his trouble earlier, but You know what? McAreeby has continued to climb back through the field. He's back into the top 10 now, up to 9th. Just got finished dispensing Bradshaw and Murakami. And now Nick Souza is, well, just under 5 seconds up the track. But it doesn't look like anything is impossible for McAreeby today. Obviously, our pole sitter had great pace, has this place figured out. He's just got to get there now. He's going to get through a pretty deep field in front of him to do it. He is 13 seconds away from our leader, David Garrido Sanchez. I don't think he can make that up in the pits, but those guys are fighting hard up front, so anything can happen here for our pole sitter, Jerry McAreeby.
Yeah, and he is 1/10 of a second slower than our leaders right now, so his pace is still very, very good. More importantly than that, for his current prospects, is that he is faster than Antonio Reyes, who is just coming to the pit lane. Donald Fitterer as well in front of him, so he is catching up to those guys. And Antonio from P number 7 heading onto the pit lane from that massive battle pack. So couple of guys bowing in. Ryan, you're obviously our strategy correspondent here, so couple of guys bowing in early, couple of guys trying to stick to their guns as late as possible. We know Fraser and some of the other guys in that lead group are gonna possibly try and stay out late. So which strategy at these early stages is looking to be more effective? The undercut or possibly the stay out as late as possible strategy?
I think it depends where you are on track. I mean, the guys up at the front, I think they'll try and stay out as long as possible. But yeah, if you're stuck in traffic, or if the guys up at the front are fighting each other, why aren't one of them just thinking to themselves, why don't I try the undercut and try and gain position in the pit stops, and then try and just basically not lose too much time on track and try and undercut then during the pit stops. It's something I would do anyway.
Well, I'll tell you what, guys, great analysis there. We're about to hit that 20 minutes to go mark, and I think we're going to start to see the dominoes fall here very shortly in the next lap or two. A lot of these drivers come in. Right now, it's Steven Elson leading everyone who has taken a pit stop. Currently, he finds himself back in 21st, and I think that puts him about a little over 31 seconds off the pole for Ellison, or off the leader of this race at the moment.
Yeah, and he is on a good pace right now, doing really well for himself, and of course looking for the possibility that as many guys as possible are making moves in front of him, trying to possibly shake those guys off, trying to get some clear air in front of him, possibly a drafting partner. All those things are very, very important. Now, something we haven't really touched upon at this point of the race is how the strategy and how those early stops are gonna affect our risers and fallers. It's a big field out here today. Nicolas Souza from P15 to P6, Donald Fitterer from P18 to P7. But our biggest riser right now, and can we get him on to the pictures right now? He just spun. Aidan Bradshaw from P30 to P number 9. He literally just spun. I can't believe it.
And boy, we are hot today, us in the commentator's curse, alive and well. And poor Adam does it all by himself. Maybe didn't need any help from us there. We just hadn't to be talking about the poor guy right in front of Murakami. You see the House of the Rising Sun drive right by him. But really, really ill-opportune, bad break there on board with Murakami. Going to see how just close he was getting by. I don't think he misses it, man. No contact made.
I'll tell you what.
Oh, and Chris has just had trouble. Oh, jeez. Were we directly talking about him? I don't know. He's got trouble, and then he has trouble getting back to the track. Poor Chris, that dropped him all the way to 17th. On board with him here.
Yeah, Chris Murakami in the beautiful livery, heading from P number 10. And car just spun in front of him. That's James King. You don't usually see James King making mistakes like that, but here we go. Trying to brake to the inside and just spun the car. And what you're seeing here is a lot of these drivers having trouble with the tires overheating, Sean.
Right.
So that's something that's really affecting them right now. And whoa, I didn't expect it to get bad, but I didn't expect it to get this bad, as we see a replay on screen.
On board with King here. You see the car just start to go around. Does a really, really good job of saving it from the Armco barrier there. Doesn't make any contact, able to get it back on course. And King, right now, that'll bring him back out in 22nd.
Yeah, and outside of your screens, Arne stops, just bumped into the back of Jens Nordström for P number 13 and sent Jens into the wall. So a lot of incidents happening this time by, and this is the point where you're gonna think about pitting, and that is exactly what Chris Murakami is doing. It's also what Raymond Regalado, Jeff Jacobson behind him are doing as well, so they are heading to the pit lane.
And the battle for first heating up, 10 to the interlope. It's Sanchez getting there first and keeping it. Here comes a run by Williamson. Jason Perry kind of hanging back a little bit. Doesn't want to get in any trouble here. I really feel like they are about to come in, or maybe just a lap away from coming in, as we've seen several cars peel off now. It's still Steven Elson holding that spot as the first car that came in.
Yeah,
Leaders, go ahead.
Yeah, just coming to a question here, really, as the battle is heating up finally. We saw the guys with gloves on, with velvet gloves, silky smooth, being nice to each other, Fraser and David, all those laps ago. Right now, even if Fraser just gave a little bit of a bump to David, I think it's gloves off a little more at this point. Ryan, could you shed some light possibly on just why it's so important to come in front of the pack to the pit lane here?
Being in the lead and coming into the pit lane in the lead, I think it's important because you have the advantage coming into the pits, and also you're not stuck behind other cars on the pit entry, and you won't lose too much time. So I think if David can keep in front of Fraser and Jason, as David dives into the pits.
And most importantly, Fraser keeps going, so you were right, Ryan. It was Fraser saving fuel all the time, Jason Perry as well continuing. So it will be interesting to see when those guys are gonna go back to the pit lane. Sean, Fraser Williamson, Jason Perry, right now the leading duo. Nils Sentkolski also staying out, as is Donald Fitterer. But really, that duo, Jason Perry, Fraser Williamson, if I was the other drivers, I would be afraid of those guys, because together, if they can work together, they can really make it work. And Jason getting past on the outside, I'm gonna expect Fraser to lift here.
Okay, here's the battle on pit lane real quick. Elson, Sanchez coming out now. Elson, of course, again, was that first one to stop. Here's Sanchez
Ahead of
coming
him.
through.
Yeah, Sanchez was ahead of him, is ahead of him on the SS, so Steven Elson about 3 seconds, possibly 4 seconds behind him. So Elson not quite able to catch up. Steve Ray has lost the draft to Steven Elson as well.
Now, the real head scratcher on that cycle of pit stops for me was Nils Sentowski. I don't know why he didn't go in. Honestly, I probably would have peeled off. He's got no help. He's out there all by himself now as Perry and Williamson continue to fight it out up front.
Maybe he doesn't want to risk it. It's always a risk when you are out there with somebody, as Fraser is sticking content staying behind Jason. It's always a risk. Sure, you can make a lot of time up by drafting, but if you don't get the right draft partner, if you cannot be sure where do you slot in exactly, then it's also a risk, as Fraser is actually bumping Jason a little bit, getting a little bit of friendly bapping there, so to speak.
Friendly tapping, yeah. Now, Nils might be able to get a little help from Fitterer and Souza behind him. If the three of them all come in at the same time. But right now, all eyes on Perry and Williamson as they come out of the last turn now. What are they going to do? Looking to the inside. It is our leader, Jason Perry, goes in. He leaves
Fraser.
Williamson all out by himself.
Yeah, Fraser was able to save fuel Fraser, you genius, and this is exactly also Ryan, you genius. You were able to call it out from so long ago. You were telling Fraser Williamson is saving fuel. Fraser is saving fuel, and that's what's happening. Jason comes to the pit lane. Niels comes to the pit lane. Nicolas Souza comes to the pit lane. Everyone else is pitting apart from Fraser Williamson. Now, Ryan, you were calling that out such a long time ago, Fraser saving fuel, but did you think that he was able to save this much fuel?
I have to be honest, I'm very surprised that Fraser's managed to save this much fuel, but fair play to him. He's managed to save enough fuel to go for not 1 extra lap, but 2 extra laps. So yeah, I'm very surprised, but yeah, credit to Fraser.
And it looks like Donald Fitterer has done the same thing. He's somehow managed to save maybe as much, if not more than Williamson in fuel, but Fitterer going around for another trip now. He hasn't made it yet, and you don't want to run out of fuel down here heading into turn 5 or Allegretta, as my brother and I like to call it. Don't run out of fuel coming down the hill here, Donald. But that gets him up to P2.
Yeah, and Ryan, I think you saw something on Jason Perry's pitting that was caught your eye. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I was just watching Jason during the pit stop, and according to my live timing, for some reason the pit stop time keeps going up for Jason. So I don't know if he's had a disconnection, a penalty, or anything like that. I'm not sure if you guys can shed any light.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything there on my timing and scoring. It looks like it was a normal pit stop, but I don't know. We'll see here. I mean, honestly, right now I show him, once we cycle out of these pit stops, once Fraser and Donald come in, right now, Jason would be your leader, and if Fraser Williamson peels off now.
Yeah, it's going to be really close.
Yeah, Fitter are going to come in right behind him.
Yeah,
so here we go.
Yeah, and one of the important things I wanted to mention is that Niels Sandkowski, we talked about him earlier, brief update on him, just behind Steven Nelson. So he is behind Steven and Steve as the current standing stand, and they have a little bit of time to make up to the group in front, but they are not out of it.
Not at all. No, sir, with about 11 minutes left. Fraser Williamson is pulling away. Jason Perry coming down the stretch. Perry in the 90 now. Williamson getting up ahead of steam. And I do believe Fraser Williamson has made this work.
Yep. Now he just needs to run away. Now he needs to run away, honestly.
Run away!
Run away like a duck on a hunting season, or like a moose on a hunting season, or any animal on their respective hunting season, because he has a whole large group of angry spec racer drivers that just realized what a coup he pulled off. So
and Sanchez just takes it away from Perry.
Yeah, and Sanchez wants to lead this back into the hunt. So it's kind of like Tour de France. Once again, I can't come back to the Tour de France references, but it is a peloton behind him, and he is the runaway driver, and he is climbing up those mountains and hoping he doesn't run out of steam right before the end. So Fraser Williamson, a couple of seconds in the lead, and now what these guys need to do behind him, David, Jason, Steven, all of the others, they need to work together. They absolutely need to set aside their differences, work together, and hope they can catch up to Fraser before the end of this race. Otherwise, it's going to be Fraser's to lose.
Antonio Rees with trouble. He's around in the middle of the track. Somebody had just got right by him there. I think that was James Tybor.
Yeah, that was Tybor. And whoa, that was really, really close.
Yeah, it was. I don't think Rees actually picked up any damage there.
Oh, Steve Ray is actually just spun on the toe section of the track. I believe he just lost it all by himself, and then a lapped car by the name of Ian Wilson. Yeah, collected him.
Man, I was just about to mention Stevie Ray. And
don't think about the drivers. Don't. Just clear your mind.
But his early peel, late reveal was really working out for him. He'd gotten up to P5, returns to the track in 10th with a damaged SRF. Stevie Ray. So responsible for everything that goes on here with the vRunoffs and this SRF Big Grid. The 23rd one here today on the iRacing Esports Network, brought to you here by the Global Sim Racing Channel. And big trouble. That's Donald Fitterer and Nick Souza. I think it was Souza. Souza's going to lose it first coming out of the 90. Watch the number 7 get loose. Comes swinging back across the pack and annihilates Donald Fitterer.
Oh, that is a huge contact, and Fitterer so unlucky. He would have made it through, possibly, but he got such a big hit that when his tires got damaged, he was sent upside down on the exit of turn number 1. Nicolas Souza totally wrecked out there as well. That was a huge impact for those two drivers.
Kurt Nunez, big trouble. Sorry about that, Austin.
No,
Kurt Nunez just has his big share of trouble coming out of the inner loop. I think it's going to be the curb that does him in. In fact, it is. Hits the center curb, the inside of it. The car never recovers from it when it slams back down to the pavement. A lot of cars, a lot of great cars getting by him, avoiding that trouble.
So it's getting really feisty here. It's getting really feisty here. A lot of drivers losing their cars. The tires are getting overheated. We saw that earlier too, Sean. We saw a couple of drivers starting to spin. Then it got a little bit more calm, and then they are starting to spin again. So I'm wondering if their tires are again overheating at this point of the race, or what it might be, these conditions, possibly the fatigue getting to them. It could be all of those factors at this point of the race, but our leaders are still keeping their nose clean. And importantly, we're gonna get a lap time from Fraser Williamson right now, and it's a 2:10.191. Behind him, Jason Perry 2:09.9, caught up 3/10. David Sanchez, of course, behind him, not able to match that. But if these guys are able to work together with 2.8 seconds the gap between P1 and P2, it's gonna be really close by the end of this race.
And it doesn't look like they're going to stay in the slipstream. In fact, Sanchez is going to get to the outside, down the straight. That'll put him on the inside, head into the inner loop if this holds. And it does look like Perry's going to let him go for now, or is Perry going to make a late braking attempt? He's not. He's going to settle for that. He's going to let Sanchez take it. They may have to play a little bit of leapfrog if they've got any chance of catching Fraser Williamson with now just under 6 minutes to go. It's probably about 3 to go at the line for Fraser. And he is taking care of business after his little bit of pit strategy there, saving the fuel, coming in last, and gets out with a good lead and is now holding it to just over 3 seconds as they continue to go
Jason
side by side.
and David side by side, yeah, once again. So David makes a mistake there, and that's not what you want if you're Jason Perry, not what you want if you're David Sanchez as well. So this was a tough ask of catching Fraser, and right now it looks like, Ryan, they are just not able to find the pace and find the rhythm of working together what it requires to catch Fraser Williamson here in this race.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think with about 3.5 laps remaining, I don't think they're going to catch Fraser if they keep squabbling amongst themselves. It's just they're not going to catch him. But Fraser's maintaining the pace, and yeah, he's managing to maintain that gap. So yeah, it's all just about Fraser getting it to the finish and just keeping it on track for the final 3 laps.
We've still got some spicy battles going on. I'll tell you what, Antonio Reyes, Greg Stefani, yeah, that Greg Stefani started 21st today, now in P10. Now Reyes just got by him, but tell you what, don't give up on Stefani here. The Indiana driver really taking it to Reyes right now. And then they've got another battle right behind them. That's the battle for 11th. That's Haycock, Sadro, Holton. I think, the 3 of them battle it out for P11. So plenty here still to fight for as they come across the line. I think it's going to be 3 to go.
I just wonder, I can't help but wonder, when do these guys, Jason Perry and David Sanchez, realize that they are no longer in for the lead, that they are in for the second place? Because we are gonna see an almighty battle. Even if it's Jason behind, and I think Jason is smart enough to know that, okay, well, we don't have a chance to catch him up anymore, but he wants to stay behind him up until the last lap. to not allow Steven Elson to catch up to them as well, because Steven Elson in that P number 4 has done a splendid, absolutely splendid race for himself. But the problem is that he just cannot catch up to the guys in front and cannot get to the podium. But Sean, once those two start fighting, once David Sanchez, Jason Perry start fighting, that is something to really, really look out for here.
And Sadro just got by Haycox heading into the inner loop. He makes a last moment dive into the inner loop and gets the position away. Sadro up to P11. We got drivers running at a time, making desperate moves. Sadro, whereas it may have been a little desperate, it was a great move. It was clean.
Yeah, it was, and a lot of drivers in that pack as well. So it's Antonio Reis in P number 9, then it's Greg Stefani, Daniel Sadro not too far behind him if they start battling Ian Haycox, Brett Holton, and those guys are within a shout of a top 10 here. So 2 positions in top 10 and 5 drivers to battle it out for them. It's time for a game of musical chairs.
Yes.
Draft battles at Watkins Glen. Yay!
The draft is gonna be in play. And I think our leader just came across the line. We'll call it 2 to go. Just over 2 minutes left in this race. That should give him a time to come around for the white flag, and then one more. Nils Sentowski in the pits. Nils, maybe not enough fuel in that car.
Yeah, Sentowski, really, really unfortunate there. So I don't think he had enough fuel, because I don't see any incidents earlier on. Yeah, he was just having to slow down, and then he realized that his fuel is not going to be enough, and he's sitting in the pit lane for quite some time and losing a lot of positions there, dropping all the way to P number 14, P number 15, I believe.
He is out now, and he is going to lose a lot of time because that was only about just over 6 seconds in the box. Oh, Kurt Nunez with trouble, big trouble, a hard shunt.
Oh no.
It was Jeff Cantor that gets in to the spun Nunez. Cantor's going to come behind, and that's where the real trouble happens. I don't think Cantor expected the car turning backwards like that.
No, Kurt, absolutely. I like Kurt Nunez, driver. He's done very well, but that is the last thing you want to do. When you spin around, you hit the brakes, especially when you know that even if you're in a runoff area, there are going to be cars using that all throughout the race. Jeff Cantor, absolutely innocent victim there. Couldn't in no way predict that Kurt Nunez was going to reverse right into him, and Kurt just forgot about the brake pedal, and that's what's going to happen. So I think it's an important lesson, Sean. When you spin, when you have an incident like that, your first instinct should be hit that brake pedal, stomp on it, and only move when you are absolutely sure you're clear.
Daniel Sadro! Sadro with big trouble. He was in a fight there with Sentowski and Samuel Dick. Sadro's around. Williamson comes around, takes the white flag, but Daniel Sadro with trouble here late in this race. Looks like maybe there was contact.
Yeah, there was Ian Haycox just glancing him on the entry of that corner. You know, it didn't look like contact, but there was a bit of netcode involving that one, and as a result of that, Daniel Sadro. Daniel Sadro.
I think it was all netcode. I honestly, it was close, but I think it was all netcode. I didn't really see any contact. Poor Sadro going to wind up just having to take that one on the chin. But up front, it is Fraser Williamson. And Williamson has had just one whale of a drive today. Going to get to the inner loop one last time. There's your lap comparison between him and David Garrido Sanchez, who's been really trying to catch him since the pit stop. But Jason Perry taking over David Garrido Sanchez into the inner loop. Perry up to P2.
Jason Perry was biding his time, and in the last lap, like a great white shark, he strikes. And he shall strike with great vengeance and furious anger as he takes away P number 2. Now, does Sanchez have anything anymore? No, he has a spin, in fact. Sanchez has a lot of trouble. I think he is run out of fuel, or something terrible has happened to Sanchez.
Oh, he's out of fuel. He's out. He's out, and here comes Steven Elson. Elson's going to pass him. Elson is going to pass him. Sanchez might. I don't know. He seems to be really out of fuel. I think Macaribi's going to catch him now too. Here we go. Fraser Williamson coming through the last turns now. This race gets through turn 9. Not much more to say. Fraser really has. I don't ever want to say someone makes a race look easy, but tell you what, a little bit of pit strategy, a little bit of fuel saving. Fraser Williamson gets it done here today in the 23rd vRunoffs Big Grid. Fraser Williamson sputtering at the line. Jason Perry with the big move finishes P2. He's going to get across the line. Here comes Steven Elson for a P3. And Jerry McAreevy is going to be 4th after starting on the pole, getting in trouble. He's going to finish just off the podium. Steve Ray is actually going to wind up with that P5 that he was in before trouble. Stevie Ray, James Tybor, Antonio Reyes, Greg Stefani. Good on you, buddy.
Oh, Bradshaw and Snyder. Bradshaw and Snyder are side by side for what I believe is P number 23 or P number 24. Snyder just having to relinquish the position to Adam Bradshaw. There's a great battle going on. They come to the
that is a That's for P22, whoa, folks.
Bradshaw able to hold on, and here comes Jeff Jacobson actually trying on the inside on the last corner, not able to get it past, and as a result of that, Sean, Adam Bradshaw takes it away. He did have no Farouk for help today, but he still makes it through.
Wow, and another exciting one here in the vRunoffs Big Grid. The Spec Racer Fords always put on a great show. Always great to watch the best Spec Racer Ford iRacing members on the service battle it out every week 13 here on the Global Sim Racing Channel and the iRacing Esports Network. But we need a breath. We'll be right back here after we take a quick break with the results and a couple drivers to talk to here about their race today. We'll see you in just a moment. Welcome back here on the iRacing Esports Network, brought to you here by the Global Sim Racing Channel. We just watched a really, really wild race here, the vRunoffs SRF Big Grid, the 23rd running of it here. And Watkins Glen brought all the action to you today. Fraser Williamson's going to get the win. Jason Perry going to finish second today. Steven Elson, really one of the drives of the race, finishes third. Jerry McAreeby had all kinds of trouble, but finishes fourth. Fifth for Stevie Ray. James Tybor, sixth. Antonio Reyes, seventh. Craig Stefani, eighth. Ian Acox, ninth. And Brett Holton going to finish 10th.
Yeah, all sorts of excitement in that race. We saw a great battle up in those top positions. We saw some wonderful strategy from Fraser Williamson taking that win away, and we saw a lot of great battles. We saw good luck, we saw good skill, we saw bad luck, and we saw really, really unfortunate last lap, unfortunate fuel calculation for a couple of drivers. That is all part of racing. But I do believe that, it's time for us to settle in to the Conversation Street with some of these drivers.
Conversation Street? You want to steal that one? Really? Okay.
No. I think we should call it the Chat Avenue.
The Chat Avenue? Okay, I like that one too. All right. Well, let's talk to Fraser Williamson. Fraser, that was a hell of a race, man. You pulled it off. You did it. Talk to us about saving that fuel. That was the key, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, less throttle, less fuel. Just use the draft, save fuel, jumped at pit stop. Simple enough race.
Well, I'll tell you what, they're still having fun out there in the inner loop. Apparently you've stepped out away from that fun, but how fun is this event? I know this isn't your first one. You've been in several of these. Is this your first win in a big grid?
Second. I won the last one. I rode it once.
You did. So you're on a bit of a streak then. That's not bad. I'm sorry, I can't remember. Was it the same strategy that got it for you last time?
Yes.
Oh, okay, folks, pay attention. I know Soup's clipboard army is out there somewhere. You guys better be taking notes on this one. Fraser, you know what? It's great to watch you win, man. It's also great to get to broadcast these big grid events. Almost makes you feel like we should do it every week.
Well, there probably should be a big grid like this every week for NASCAR. It's really good fun to race. Maybe with a couple of tweaks to it, we could get these grids every week, but we'll need to see.
Well, Fraser, congratulations. Anybody you'd like to thank today, my friend?
Just all the guys at SIMSA for helping out. Yourselves, obviously, for broadcasting it, and Stevie Ray for bringing us this event every single season.
All right. Well, we look forward to seeing you in the next one here in about 14 weeks or so. Now, let's let us catch up and talk to Jason Perry, who works out a second place finish, does it with a great pass and, well, a little bit of failure on fuel strategy around it, but he raced it to the finish.
Oh, he sure works out all right. Jason Perry, amazing strategy from you. Really, you were able to keep it calm, keep it consistent, but keep it also tough when it mattered. Not quite able to catch up to Fraser, but P number 2. Are you happy with that?
Jason, we got you, buddy. Can you hear us? Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to give Jason a moment to try and figure things out. Ossian, why don't we throw the proverbial curveball here and let you talk to Stevie Ray?
Yeah, sure, why not? Stevie Ray, so you were in P number 5 today, started from P number 11. Talk us through your race, the early ons, the crazy hours, and then the late on charge into the top 5.
Hi, guys. Yeah, I started in 11th and got up to about 6th, 7th on the first couple of laps and just hung on to the back of those guys for a while and had my pit strategy set up to do an early pit as always. And Steve Elson ducked in with me and then just tried to follow him back through and made a couple of pretty good mistakes, one in the bus stop and went through it and had to slow down and spun that same lap down in the boot. and then just kind of came back and held it together. But mainly I wanted to pop in and just a huge thank you to all these guys that come out and join us season after season. I always say in the Weekend Warriors interview, it's the guys on track every week that make this thing what it is. And for the big grid, it's the guys that keep coming back every season, have some great racing. And I heard you talking to Frazier about it should be this way every week. And well, the Weekend Warriors, we were putting 40 on track every week. So that's almost as good, but it's always a lot of fun.
Yeah, Steve, Weekend Warriors, for those who are unfamiliar with the concept, I know there are those as well, myself included, so I know we do it a little bit different so, up here. So tell us about Weekend Warriors. Tell us why it's so great and what is there to expect for a driver who wants to join Weekend Warriors and how do they do it?
Yeah, it's just a league within the SRF community. It's the main one, and we run it just almost identical to what you saw here today. We have two different classes, Spec 2 for those below 3,000 IR to have something to compete against, and then the Spec 1 for those guys 3,000 and above for the overall championship, kind of a pro and amateur, if you will. And we have a lot of fun. It's every Sunday at this same time. We follow the official SRF series as far as track selection. Said it's just one of the best around. A very helpful, very friendly group of guys. And anybody wants to know, you can look up Weekend Warriors League and send me a request or send me a PM. But on the SRF forum, there's always a Weekend Warriors thread going all year long.
And that is wonderful to hear, Steve. I love those community organized leagues, community organized events. I think it's really a thing that gives us a breather from all the official racing, from all the grind. And you know what? Would you like to see, throwing it out as a concept out there, how is it if you receive sometimes, World Championship, the so-called elite of iRacing, if you can call it that? How would it be to receive someone like, or some of the top pro drivers just for one-off visit? Would you think it would be interesting for them as well?
Yeah, I think it would. I would hope it would, because we have some very clean racing. We've had a few pro drivers once in a while join us on occasions. Jamie Fluke for one, and there's a couple of others I can't think of off the top of my head. But once in a while we get a pro driver to join us, and we've had them in this vRunoffs big grid. We've had a few of them join us occasionally. So one of my passions the last few years is connecting real world and the sim guys. And I have a lot of connection with the real world SRF guys, and we're trying to pull those in. Max Grau was one of them that has done some real world racing in the SRF and Formula cars. So we're happy to have him. And just like I say, it's overall just a great group of people.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. Thank you for an interview. Make sure to check out Weekend Warriors. Make sure to appreciate the great work they put on there as well if you want to race some more Spec Racer Ford. I've done it a couple of races myself. I can tell you it's fun. But up next, I believe we are on for a take two, as Sean Ambrose is going to have some words with everyone's favorite Jason Perry.
Yeah, I got Jason. Jason, can you hear me, buddy?
Yep. I've got you now. Sorry about that. I unplugged my headset when I was getting up to get a celebratory beer.
That's okay, buddy. And definitely good reason to celebrate. Talk to us about that run. Obviously, you were setting that pass up into the inner loop, but did you know that they had missed it on fuel?
With David on the last lap?
Yeah, with David on the last lap, yeah.
I didn't. As we got into the bus stop, I had a feeling he lifted off, so I thought I was probably safe. But I started spluttering with about three turns to go as well.
So everybody very, very close on the fuel. It was an awful fun race. Traffic played along pretty well, didn't it?
Where I was, it was all good. Yeah, I've got to apologise to Jerry. I haven't had a chance to have a look at the incident on lap 2, but I think I took him out into turn 1. It might have been netcode, but I think I might have missed my brake point a bit. So sorry about that, Jerry.
Well, you know what, Jerry, listen, for what it's worth, Jerry recovered just fine. Made a pretty good showing. Certainly a real gentleman here, though, that makes the comment like that. Jason, anybody you'd like to thank?
Thanks to you guys for broadcasting. Thanks to Steve, as always, for hosting the races and doing all the organisation. And thanks to SimStickers for sponsoring the Weekend Warriors for the season. I don't know if they're back this next season, but it'd be good to see them. And Merry Christmas to you guys. Go on. Sorry.
I'm just going to say I have it on good authority that they are back for next season. And you know what? Merry Christmas to you too, Jason. Thanks,
Hyvää
buddy.
joulua.
We appreciate that. So, and a Merry Christmas to you. And well, we'll see you back next week, I'm sure, in the Weekend Warriors grid. Yes.
Yep. Cheers, guys. Hopefully, I'll be racing a little bit more next season. I'll see you then.
All right. That sounds awesome. That's Jason Perry. And well, folks, that's going to wrap up the interview segment here of the broadcast. Now, listen, here in just a few minutes, you got to go over to the Global Sim Racing channel because we're all about big grids today. And next, we've got Big C. Big C's MX5 Challenge is coming up from, it's from Bathurst, folks. It's going to be 40 minutes of close to 60 MX5s going nuts there down under in Australia. So why don't you come join us for that one? It's going to be a lot of fun. It'll be Justin Prince, and I think he's got Ryan Jones. Actually, I think is with him today. And well, Ryan's from Australia, a bit of a home track. So go check that out. Now, we do want to thank Stevie Ray for organizing the 23rd SRF vRunoffs Big Grid and contracting with GSRC to broadcast it. I want to thank the company's equipment and software that you see on your screen that we use on every broadcast. The original music that gives every broadcast that unique flavor and feel is thanks to our friend June Lalonde. See the screen for how to contact and get a hold of her great work. Now, we'll be back next weekend on IESN for the 2020 season. 2020 season round 1 of the Sim Stickers Weekend Warriors, and we're starting off next season at Tsukuba, 2:45 Eastern, right here on the iRacing Esports Network. Don't miss that. Listen, I want to thank again everybody that was part of this broadcast. Ryan Walker, thanks for coming in. We appreciate it, buddy. Great to have you on the air with us. And of course, sliding across your screen now are some of our broadcasts. Check those out. Mark them down on your calendar. If you'd like more information about GSRC, including a complete list of all of our broadcasts, you can start on our YouTube channel. We've got them all listed there. You can find us at our website, globalsimracingchannel.com. We're on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook, Global Sim Racing Channel, Instagram, GSRC_Graham. And listen, if you haven't subscribed to IESN yet, hit their subscribe button. Do that now. Everybody wants to be a sub on YouTube. Subscribe to the Global Sim Racing Channel. You may have a chance to win some free merch by December 21st. Finally, on behalf of the entire crew, us and Ryan, Amjad, and Ducky Beard, I'd like to thank all of you for watching. And for our old buddy Soup, we're going to run off and storm the castle. So until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.